Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of December 3rd through the 9th of 2023. A shout out, my mom has a birthday and my daughter's birthday is coming up soon. And I know a few of you other Sages out there are going to be celebrating soon. And I'll give a shout out to one in particular who I love and adore. Her birthday is on the same day as my daughter. So thank you for your support and your love, and happy birthday to you, most beautiful one. And I believe you know who you are. Anyways, the themes for this week, we've got Venus will ingress into Scorpio. So we're going to have some fun, sexy, deep relational conversations, maybe some secrets. I'll get into that a little bit. And it's pretty much the Venus show this week. And we'll be focusing on relationships and finances, perfect for this holiday season, right? The things that we love and value. But before I dive into that, I just want to give a little bit of update and shout out to my co-host for, you can see in the background, podcast, Brian Benson. He and I are we've launched our Recess, the podcast, and you can find that on Apple, on Audio Boom, that's the other one, and Spotify. And then Tatiana, my daughter, and I are going to be recording some more episodes that you can find here on this YouTube channel. And we'll be also using a podcast platform to start launching all of those after the first of the year. Because I'm waiting till after the first year, because we've also, another little thing to put a pin on the map, Mercury retrogrades this month. And I'm just going to ride that one out before I launch much of anything. As you know, some of you know, I've been working on some teaching that I want to put together, some classes, courses, support group, that sort of thing. And so stay tuned for that, as I'll be launching that also in 2024. And I'm always open to feedback as far as, what do you want to learn from me? I have a pretty wide plethora of tools in my tool bag. One of them being that foundational of intuition. And then we complement that with astrology, as well as a lot of energy work, different practices that I have learned over the years that I use on a regular basis, things that I have acquired through Nine Gates Mystery School, and also things that with that will benefit you in space clearing. There's some of that as well. So there's lots of different modalities and things that I would love to work with you on. And I'm always open to your feedback as far as what would serve you. Some of you have enjoyed the new and full moon rituals that I've done in the past. Happy to activate those again if they serve. What I don't want to do is waste your time, money, and energy. So just putting that out there. So let's dialogue. Let's think about it. Give me some feedback. I'm always open to that. So let's talk about how Sunday, December 3rd, Mars is going to quincunx Jupiter. And as you probably know, I like making up words, but also like unusual words like quincunx. And if you think about it, quincunx is not an easy word to our aspect to say or to understand, in the sense of it has an irritation quality to it. So when Mars, our planet of aggression, our planet of action, motivation, war, getting things done, intrinsic motivation, it's that competitive nature. When it's quincunx Jupiter, expansive, exaggerating, abundant planet, what do you think might happen if it's irritated? Well, some aggression and competition could be exaggerated during this time. So watch out for any sort of like dogma that's run amok, because Jupiter gives a lot of energy to religion. It gives a lot of energy to belief systems. It gives a lot of energy to this righteousness, if you will. And so when there's a challenge or a competition, somebody's challenging your belief system, what you get defensive, right? And then there could be this, mine's better than yours, da 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 da. And so you just have to watch out for that. Watch out for little irritations that they could turn into bigger problems because misinterpretation happens. And I just want to remind us all that when someone's reacting to something we're saying or doing, they're showing you what's happening inside of them. Just like if I overreact to something, what wound got scratched? I'll give a little example. So last weekend, I was in conversation with my beloved, and there were some things that was being shared by him, and it scratched a wound. And I went quiet, as I often do when my wounds get scratched. And I sat with it and I could not let it go. It was just one of those things. It was such a like I started to do the practice of just noticing and being curious and all of that. But man, did I have my moments. And it carried into the next day. And finally, when we had some time alone again, he looked at me and he was like, "You okay?" I was like, Not really. I'm kind of nursing a wound that got scratched last night." And of course he wanted to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And I just said, "Look, this is for me to work through. You didn't say anything wrong," because he wanted to apologize if he said something wrong. It wasn't it wasn't exactly what he said. He didn't attack me or say anything wrong. It was what he said that I told a story in my head that was an old wound. And so it was for me to work with. And what was interesting, and this is why we teach what we most need to learn, just the conversation, just him asking if I was okay, helped to dissipate the energy. And for me not to deflect it, for me to own it. Now, if he had said something that was hurtful, I would call him out on it, but he didn't. So, anyways, I share that vulnerably to say it was my wound. And I got scratched and I got irritated because I went into the attachment of an old story. Whew. And one other thing, because I think it applies before I go into more of the astrological piece. When I went to a yoga class this week, my yoga teacher, I always love going because there's always a little nugget of wisdom, something, a reminder. And she was talking about how our practice helps us stay present. And it's not about perfection. Our practice helps with polishing, being present in the moment. And I think about that in every irritation, in every moment, like me being triggered with that old wound was an invitation for me to come present in the moment because the story was from the past. It wasn't from the present moment. And for me to be able to check in with myself and say, what practices do I have to take care of myself during this time? So I segue into Monday, December 4th, Venus in Scorpio. Now, Venus in Scorpio she's not at her best when she's in Scorpio, but it's not awful, depending on if you like to go really deep. What Venus doesn't want to do is superficiality in relationships. She wants to understand things and she wants deeper connection and she wants to penetrate below the superficial, below the surface and say, what's really here? And let's transform the mundane. Let's transform what was into something that now can be even more useful, that can be even more beneficial. But shadows emerge because there's a lot of hidden stuff in the sign of Scorpio, right? And when our shadows emerge, what do we want to do? We want to integrate them. We don't want to dismiss them and orphan them. We don't want to make them out to be bad. What they are is they're a complement to our positives. They're a complement to our light. So we want to integrate them because remember, we can't have light without shadow. So with Venus in Scorpio, I believe that many of us will experience a depth in our relationships. We might have to penetrate through an uncomfortable conversation. We might have to penetrate through a difficult reality, a difficult in our face moment. And doing so, remember, behind that door of pain is pleasure. And that's what Venus and Scorpio also invites us to: deeper pleasure, sensuality, sexuality, and being able to merge our relational field with another, merge ourselves. So we want to merge our shadows and our lights. Then Tuesday, December 5th, Venus is going to make a trine to Saturn. So Saturn is in Pisces, Venus in Scorpio. So we might find that if reality was a little too much right now, then we're going to want to escape. But in that escapism, see if we can find a creative and healthy outlet in order to bring out healing and transformation and deep compassion and empathy. Watch out, empaths, watch out, high sensitives, because this is a day where you may be feeling everybody's stuff and take it on. So it's important that you have those practices that allow you to be able to say, this isn't mine. I can hold the space and I can witness someone being uncomfortable. I can assist them with tools, but I don't have to take on all the pain. There's also a chance for some clarity in relationships and finances that come through because we're looking at our values. We're looking at the things that we care about the most or that we hold as a high value the most, and that can help us find that clarity. Thursday, December 7th, Mercury in sign of Capricorn makes a trine to Jupiter, still retrograde in Taurus, but this is where we could, think Mercury and Capricorn likes things to take, likes to think about things very methodically, very seriously. Well, we can take things seriously during this transit and find useful ways to achieve more security in our lives. That's what we're looking for. We want concrete, realistic physical security. We can spend time putting a concrete plan into place. We feel better when we have a plan because it gives us some sense of control, even though that's an illusion, but it does help. And we can evaluate what we learned from this past year and apply it to how we're going to do things differently in the upcoming year. Hope, optimism returns to our worn, torn hearts. I cannot stress enough how hard this year has been. And you know what? It seems like every year we finish the year going, well, that one's over. Moving on. Hopefully the next one will be better. And I remind us all, myself included, better is relative. Okay. So it's not about better. We're about integrating the hardships and finding the positive, looking for that optimism, that the good things that have occurred. Good news can occur at this time as well with Mercury trining Jupiter, because Jupiter is very optimistic and it expands it. And it wants to give us that positive energy. So we could find some good results from things that may have caused us worry in the past. It's a great time to have really good conversations with someone that maybe we were concerned about before, and the relationship had some bumps and bruises and maybe even breaks here to set this up. Mercury also goes into shadow at this time because it's going to retrograde on the following week on the 13th. So we're going to start entering Mercury shadow. And when that happens, it gives us an invitation to revisit some conversations, some ideas, information that we need to take seriously. Saturday, December 9th, Venus is going to oppose Jupiter. And also Venus is going to make a sextile to Mercury. So this is a time where it can be very sexy and steamy for you lovers, for beloveds, for friends. It's a great time to circulate. If you're single, meet somebody new. We could go really deep on a particular subject that helps us feel more secure about our love lives. And many holiday parties will probably take place this weekend. It's a nice breath of fresh air after some pretty heavy times. And having really serious conversations with those that we care about help lead us to clarity, understanding, wisdom, all of those things that can give us stability within ourselves and within our relationships. And that's what I feel we as human beings right now are craving the most, is some stability, especially in such tumultuous times that we have all over the world. So pay attention, be aware, stay awake. Remember, our greatest influence is within ourselves first, and then we change the life of one person. Can that be enough? And Venus, being the planet of love, being a pretty big theme this month or this week, let's come back to becoming love itself. Love without end, love with no boundaries. And I don't mean that in an unhealthy way, but meaning that there's no judgment there. It's like everyone's allowed to be who they are. And let's just meet them where they're at. All right, you guys, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. Come find me at jamiedawn.com, 1-2 listen. And I look forward to connecting with you anytime. Take care, everybody.